Hey, what's up, guys? Listen, new information in Shanquella Robinson's case. And you guys, this is mind blowing. If you guys don't know, the concierge, there's a secret witness that Shanquella's lawyers have dug up. This brings in a lot of questions. Why hasn't Mexico arrested anyone? Why haven't they given arrest warrants to all six of the Cabo6? It also shows a new level of sickness. They were laughing over Shanquella's body. They were laughing about it. The concierge said he was manipulated by Dejanay Jackson to help cover up what occurred. And the concierge gave an interview and said he 100% knows that Dejanay did this. You guys, let's get into this. We're going to go through, first of all, shout out to Shanquella's lawyers, Ben Crump. If you guys don't know, they have literally put some fuel onto this. If you guys don't know, the White House has now commented on Shanquella Robinson's case. Things are pushing pedal to the metal. Interestingly enough, now that the White House is involved, the FBI has some gas underneath them. They're taking over. There's now a secret interview with the concierge that pretty much pointed the finger at all the Cabo6 and led everybody to believe that this actually was a cover-up. They knew what they were doing. And even though they were faking and crying, he heard them laughing about what happened. I know a lot of people don't want to blame what's happening with the investigation on the Mexico Attorney General, saying they did everything they could, and now it's in the USA hands. Why is this interview just surfacing? If you guys had this information, and we're going to get into the interview because it's going to blow your mind. If you had this information, why weren't there warrants out for all the Cabo 5? There definitely was obstruction of justice. There definitely was. If this concierge can be believed, and it looks like the FBI is going to believe him, that's all I'm saying. Good that the FBI is now doing their job. Good that the White House is now involved. Good that Ben Crump is now beating pots and pans. And good that justice is one step closer. However, we need to have a serious conversation about bringing this case back to America, because if Mexico had this information from get-go and it wasn't our FBI that actually interviewed the concierge, if this interview, this magic secret interview is just being bought out, why aren't there more charges? Ask yourself that. But let's get into this, okay? Now, they're saying that newly obtained information reveals that the 6 people traveling with Shanquella Robinson fled Mexico after her death, and she was seen at dinner the night before acting strange. Okay, they fled. This is now a conspiracy. From this theory, I'm going to get into it, and from this interview, it's now a conspiracy. Again, why hasn't Mexico pressed more charges? Because at the end of the day, we can kick and scream about America all we want until we bring this investigation home, because it is a federal crime. It is a federal crime. Go watch my old videos if you want to know the exact statute. There does not need to be a link to America. The link to America for America to take over the investigation is that an American citizen deleted another American citizen overseas. There is a federal statute making that a federal crime, and it is just as punishable as if you murk somebody on American soil. Okay, so let me just put that out there. There's a federal statute. A lot of people have been prosecuted under this federal statute, but until the U.S. government files charges under that federal statute, Mexico is involved with the investigation. So we need to ask Mexico, forget about the Dejanay, the arrest, what's going on with the paperwork. We talked about that different video. Why isn't there more charges out if you magically, when the FBI starts putting pressure, it comes out? But let's get into this, right? The autopsy report classifies Shanquella's death as violent, as we know. There was a combination of documents revealing a medical examiner's findings, interviews with the hotel staff, and law enforcement reports that were released to the Charlotte Observer and other media on Tuesday, along with a letter sent to President Joe Biden calling for an arrest. Now, we know that that letter released to Joe Biden did not fall on deaf ears. However, why is Ben Crump having to dig up graveyards for information that Mexico claimed to have had? For everybody stunting on that investigation in Mexico, why do you guys believe it's complete? We have evidence after evidence after evidence that it's not. Can we stop putting our faith in that and just either bring it home or directly put pressure on who's conducting the investigation? The Mexico authorities. Well, Attorney De La Rosa. The documents include interview transcripts between investigators and both the manager and the concierge at the vacation villa. Now, let it be known that these investigators, it is unclear whether they are Mexico police investigators or whether they are American investigators or whether it has been Crump's own private investigators. You guys wanted to know what's going on with the GoFundMe money. Where's the GoFundMe money go? The GoFundMe money going that the family collected? It's going to these investigators. It's going to play Ben Crump. Do you see what happens when you throw money at a situation like this and you are able to hire the best of the best? It looks like we're getting action. Lawyers for Shanquella's family, who is Ben Crump, of course, and Sue Ann Robinson and Benjamin Crump. Sue Ann Robinson is a no relation, but it's a nice fate thing that she has the same last name as Shanquella's family, say the arrest warrant issued for Desiree Jackson mentions femicide. They have now named Desiree Jackson as the person. If you guys don't know, there's an issue with femicide in the fact that femicide is not recognized in America as a crime. So they are saying that that is delaying extradition. It was an 18-page information packet sent March 13th to top U.S. government officials. Ben and Sue Ann wrote, as a result of the investigation, a warrant has been issued for Desiree Jackson by Mexican law enforcement, one of the 6 travel mates who fled to the United States after Shanquella was pronounced dead. Desiree was identified as the perpetrator of femicide against Shanquella Robinson, a homicide based on gender. Now, get this. A concierge working at Cabo6 Villas told an investigator with the specialized unit for the investigation of miscellaneous crimes that Shanquella was the main guest handling the trip arrangements. This interview took place on November 17th at 8:45 a.m. The police have had this interview since November 17th, 8:45 a.m. The concierge said that the first night the group arrived, he noticed something was off. He said Shanquella was the last person to join the group for dinner and that she seemed not to fit in with the others. He also said he greeted Shanquella, but she did not smile or say anything to him. She was indifferent, nothing to do with the atmosphere of the celebration. She was out of place at the party. Okay. Now, this is what he told the investigators, and this is an English translation of the prosecutor documents. The next day, around October 29th, around 1:50 p.m., the concierge told investigators, Desiree texted him and asked if he was available and where the nearest medical provider was. Now, this is what Desiree said. I think my friend has alcohol poisoning and needs an emergency service and someone to translate and speak Spanish for us. The concierge offered to send a doctor who spoke English and who could determine if Shanquella needed to go to the hospital. Now, as we know, that doctor got there and the doctor was like, yeah, she needs to go to the hospital. But the doctor said the friends were like, no, don't take her. Desiree agreed to this and asked that the doctor be sent ASAP. Around 2 p.m., he said he called the doctor on call for the villa. Now, I do also want to say this. We'll go. As the Charlotte Observer previously reported, the doctor tried giving Shanquella an IV. The doctors then did 14 rounds of CPR. Go watch my other videos on why that is BS and the doctor needs to have charges, but let's get into the real meat. And about an hour after the doctor arrived, Shanquella began having convulsions. She was later declared dead by the doctor, referred to as cardiac arrest. Cardiac arrest, as you know, is when your heart stops. It can stop for anything. Previous police reports obtained by the Observers state that Winter Donovan, one of the travelers, called 911 and asked for an ambulance around 4:20 p.m. So the doctor worked on Shanquella for about an hour and a half, at least, before an ambulance was requested at 4:20. According to the police report, we're getting to the good part. Just stick with me. You need to know this. Shanquella died sometime between 5 and 6 p.m. However, the convulsions, and they ordered an ambulance around 4:20. That means that after the convulsion, no matter what, she was deceased. 5 and 6 p.m. is when the police report said she died. And after Desiree first texted the concierge for help, Later, the concierge told investigators that Desjardins had texted him that Shanquella would be taken to a hospital, saying that Shanquella was not in a serious condition, but required an IV and was practically unconscious. He said the group told him that they were also discussing whether or not they had insurance that they could pay for the hospital visit. That's what they told the concierge. Later, an administrator of the villa contacted the concierge and asked if he requested an ambulance because security was notified to let one in. Now, it said in the interview it was unclear how much time had passed. Now, after this, he received another call saying Shanquella had died and he needed to get to the villa as soon as possible. Now, let me just say this. This is why the concierge was like, what is going on? Desjardins called and was like, yo, can you send a doctor? The doctor got there. Then Desjardins told the concierge via text, and this is all in text message, right? No. It's fine. It's not that serious. She just needed IV. She's practically passed out. This was at 4:05. Around 6, the police declared her dead, right? And then an ambulance was called, but the concierge was like, but I just talked to Desjardins, and Desjardins said she was fine. That's why, and if you guys don't know about resorts in Mexico, they don't just let anyone in. So that's where they were like, who called the ambulance? But there's more, because this is the sickest part. Let's see. When the concierge arrived, he went to the villa immediately because there's a dead body on the scene, and they're just like, what? And this is a very expensive villa. When the concierge arrived, he noticed one of the guests was speaking with the police. And after entering the house, he said the guests were sitting calmly around the bar and dinner table in the main room. Nobody was crying. Nobody was showing emotion. He sought out Desjardins Jackson to offer his condolences. Desjardins told the concierge they informed Shanquella's mother about her death and that it was so fast and a loser in an instant for having had too much alcohol. He asked if he could hug her. Listen to what this monster did. The concierge said, she gave me a very indifferent hug, very cold. I saw a very sad guest, a skinny girl, and I saw that she was in pain. I left that area and stayed outside the main entrance to give them space to mourn and grieve. Minutes later, I heard laughter. Minutes later, after Desjardins put on the performance in a lifetime, the concierge heard laughter. This is in the police report. That to me would be enough to have suspicion that this was conspiracy. Someone just died. The concierge told you the night before Shanquella was acting real funny. No emotion, wasn't with the group, super silent, right? Something, obviously as an investigator, something's up. Then you heard laughter. Yeah, okay. Hours later, right? Desjardins texted the concierge, heard laughter. Hours later, she texted the concierge about dinner, and he arranged for a ride, a taxi to take them to dinner in San Jose. So let me get this straight. The murdered girl was acting very strange the day before, not a part of the group, very out of place. But she was the one that paid for everything and planned everything. The next day, she winds up deceased. Desjardins, who is doing all this stuff, was acting all sad, and he went to go. And then when he stepped out, he heard laughter from the whole group, loud laughter. Then they asked, hey, could you schedule dinner for us? Which he thought was odd, but they scheduled dinner. Get this. He found out later that the group had never gone to dinner, but had that place take them to the airport. Listen to what he said in his interview. The next day, the maid told the concierge that the villa was empty and asked if the guests had checked out. Surprised, the concierge said they had not and texted Desjardins. Desjardins didn't respond until the next day, October 31st, when she told him that they had already left for the U.S. and asked if she needed to sign anything for checkout. So not only did they lie to everyone, they scheduled a fake dinner. So the police, if they came back to the concierge, would think that they were at that restaurant and go to that restaurant and think they were still in Mexico while they scheduled flights to go back home, unbeknownst to everyone. You guys, let's put this into perspective. The girl, Shanquella, sorry to refer to her as a girl, had completely transcended. Concierge heard laughter, felt like it was fake. They did a decoy dinner to lead the authorities believe that they were still in Mexico. They'd gone home, evacuated. They literally conspiracy, alibi. It looked like they were running. Why did the Mexico police have this till November 17th? And the only person from all this you could press charges on or even question was Desjardins. Again, looks like conspiracy to me, looks like questions. Now get this, the investigators giving more information. Later, when the news broke of Shanquella's death and a video was released of Desjardins attacking her, the concierge said he realized that practically Desjardins had manipulated him in an effort to leave the country as soon as possible. This is in the police report, you guys. And you guys want to sit there and say that the investigating people from Mexico were doing the best they could and it's the U.S.'s fault. It's everybody's fault. But at this point, let's lay blame with who's in charge of the investigation. And let's not forget that all this is coming out because Shanquella's family's GoFundMe had enough money to hire the best of the best that knew to shake the tree, that had White House connections, that knew to go down there, send their investigators and shake the trees, and all of a sudden this magic thing gets pulled up. Okay, y'all. The administrator of the villas told the investigators in a separate interview, this is the administrator, not the concierge, that he served as translator for the group when the police arrived after Shanquella's death. This interview took place on November 19th at 2 p.m. He said they'd seen the viral video circulating on social media of Shanquella being beaten by another woman. He confirmed that this took place at the villa and said the other woman in the video was Shanquella. The concierge also confirmed in this interview that he believed the video he had been showed Desjardins hitting Shanquella. Due to the location of the sun's rays in the video, the administrator said it was between 7 and 8:30 a.m. in room 3, which was registered to Winter Donovan, according to the concierge interview. So we now place the death between 7 and 8:30, or at least the assault between 7 and 8:30 a.m. Again, this calls everything into question. And here's another thing that nobody is considering. We all see that video, okay? And think that that was the end of Shanquella. Have we considered that they actually abused her even more that wasn't on video? Have we not considered that there wasn't more that happened? We assumed that that video happened at 2:50, but it now looks like there's more to the story. We'll talk about that later. What else is there? The medical examiner's report does say that there was friction burns along Shanquella's left ankle, contusions to her head, and other injuries consistent with resuscitation efforts. You guys, we'll talk about that in a different video because I'm doing a little bit of research and this needs to actually be said. But you guys, they've had this information for a while. They haven't acted on it. Thank God Ben Crump's involved. Thank God Joe Biden's involved. However, all 6 of them need to have warrants. This is unacceptable. This is sick. This was violent. It was disgusting. It was vulgar. And the fact that we have the concierge and the administrator of the villa both saying the same thing, you guys, lock them all up. And it needs to happen now. It needs to happen now. Tweet the White House. Tag the White House on Instagram. Let them know how you feel. You guys, it looks like justice is coming, but it's amazing what's coming out now that we have some boots on the ground. You guys, let me know what's happening and what you guys think. The follow-up video I'm doing some investigation on, it's going to be really, really good. Anyway, you guys, let me know what you think in the comments. I'll talk to you later. Bye.